Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Good to see all of you. Welcome to the second night of our Atlanta Review launch party for the fall winter issue. And there's just a few little quick rules. Please limit yourself to 2 poems, and please try to limit your introductions to very little, like maybe a sentence, but no more than that. And if you want to tell people what page your poem is on so that they can read along in their journal, that would be great, but you don't have to. I'm JC Riley. I'm the current editor of Atlanta Review. I've been with the Atlanta Review since 2016. I see Dan Beach is here, the OG editor. And I'm very happy to see all of you, and let's get to it. So our first reader is Amanda Conover.
Hello, my name's Amanda. My poem is on page 12. So I'll just get right into it. It's called Wish List. I want friends, but not just any kind. I want the hippie clothed, crystal collecting, constantly changing their hair color kind. I once had an emo phase, but still somewhat do. The went vegetarian at a young age because I felt bad for animals. Laughs at suicidal Gen Z jokes. Dreams of Marxism or anarchy or fine, I'll even settle for socialism kind. I write all of this down in the hopes of the universe hearing, of whispering back to me, hey, so I know this isn't what you wanted, but I'm afraid you'll have to settle for a spiritually skeptic agnostic who cooks you plant-based dinners. And sure, I'll throw in the free-spirited girl too. But don't worry, to make up for it, you'll have the same music taste. And there will be nothing about how all of that will be all that I wanted, to feel like the world isn't so lonely, like all these billions of people are here for more than they know. Okay, thank you.
Did you want to read another poem? Were you good?
I think I'm good with that.
Okay, great. Is Hood Frazier here?
Yes, right here. And I'm Chapman Hood Frazier. I go by Hood, which is my middle name. It's a Southern thing. I have all last names. On my page, poem is actually on page 16 of the journal. And just a couple little notes. This actually takes place in Rome, and it's on the Janiculum Hill, which is not one of the 7 hills of Rome, but it's an 8th that overlooks the Vatican. So it's that perspective that I was working on with this piece. Day 2, the jog to Ferro al Giannicolo. Uphill cobblestones, a priest leans against the old Vatican wall, watching a man sleep in a patch of grass. He's wrapped in plastic bags against the cold morning's cold as distant hymns are heard from early morning mass. Along this hill of heads, the dead stare back, blank-eyed, gazing inward, but facing an expanse of terracotta tile roofs below the domes of Rome that are tightly crammed below the eye line, a subtle mosaic of sorts that dichotomize the sacred from the profane, even as morning bells chime. As I run uphill, I watch my watch to keep an eye on time. What circles here is metaphor, both seagull and crow above the maze of streets with cobblestones worn from centuries of pilgrims' feet. Some poor who came for food worthy of salvation, but others with weapons came for conquest, a memory of wind that blew through the streets from different times, layered here as emperors became Visigoths, then finally popes. Once the Pantheon was the heart of Rome, but now stripped of marble that adorns the Vatican's floors for glory and for God. I turn and crossing Ferro al Giannicolo, begin my descent and see below St. Peter's cupola with its bronze facade conscripted from the Pantheon roof by Pope Urban VIII to make both cannons and craft the papal barricade in leaves. But nothing stolen is ever lost, but simply transformed, like the Greek Apollo who became the Roman god of prophecy. Now I hear the call of crow and watch the sliding of the light, revealing new shadows as I pass. A few stragglers from Sunday service wander by, and a lover strokes his lover's hair beside an umbrella tree as I jog my way down to cross the one-way street to San Pietro. Sunlight illuminates a pigeon in the causeway. And thank you for that and for publishing it. And I wanted to share one more piece. And this is from my book, The Lost Books of the Bestiary. I guess you can't really see it because I blurred, I think, everything. Here we go. Lost Books of the Bestiary. This is an ekphrastic poem, which is a poem written about a piece of art. And the art is called Beneath the Wheel. It's by Clarence White. It's a platinum print with a young woman. It was based on a Victorian novel, but she's standing in front of this mirror and there's a wrinkle on her shoulder and it's being smoothed by her mother. And her father is leaning against the mantel behind her. It's called Wrinkle. It is this smoothing one longs for in this laying on of hands that will prepare us for what's to come. Before this marble mantle stands a daughter, expectant with what dreams the young have. Her animal eyes alive with the sea baby she has held in her arms, whose cry was as clear as water and as deep. At night, she crossed the lawn to the cliff above the sea and heard it crying to her from the village beneath the waves. Staring through the room she does not see, she longs to hold him again forever. Her mother smooths her dress as if that touch could save her. She flattens the wrinkle as best she can, hoping that this moment could remain a still life she might hang above the mantel. Her father leans against it, feeling the marbles cold. What's left to say eludes him as he watches the play of light across the floor. Years from now, when their granddaughter stands before this mantle for the last time, she'll feel this touch again and realize the meaning of sacrifice. For in the moment is the inevitable pull of bones and the sudden luminescence of morning. It is in this simple act of giving that loving means. This is what we must all grow through. A wrinkle, smoothed back into place, and the sound of distance returning like the sea. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next reader is Don Hogle.
Hello, thanks to JC and all the team at Atlanta Review for putting this on and for publishing us. My poem is on page 23 of the journal, and it's called Offering. In Guatemala, in Chichicastenango, flower sellers line the steps rising to the doors of the Iglesia de Santo Tomás. The Maya who came to market left offerings of incense, maize, and bottles of rum wrapped in corn husks on the stairs. In a smoky, perfumed haze, a young girl stood, cloaked, looking into the distance, imagining her future, perhaps, as your son may have, Abraham, gathering kindling in the morning mist, unaware he was your intended sacrifice. May the shame of all the ages stain your name. May it fall forever on you, you who would have done the deed, had a hand not stayed you, you who should have cried, I will not do this thing you ask, not even for you, Lord. And the second is was done in a workshop in, thank you, in Umbria, in Italy, with Kim Adonizio. And it's called, you can probably hear the sirens of New York going behind me. It's called A Chat with St. Francis. It's Sunday, Francesco, in San Gemini. The town is paving the streets with flower petal paintings for the Corpus Christi procession. I'm not a believer, Francis, but I've time to kill, and I appreciate the chance to chat with you. Someone's getting married here in your church. Friends of the couple hung a sign outside City Hall with two stick figures hanging from a scaffold, condannati a nozze, condemned to marriage. You know, years ago at the sanctuary of La Verna, I saw the grotto stone where it said you slept. Better you than me, but I do admire your values. Zeffirelli made a film about you in the 70s. In one scene, you renounce your attachment to the material world, throwing off your clothes in the marketplace. There's a shot of your backside, and they put that image on the poster. I have to say, my friend, I bought a ticket partly because of it. But seriously, I have something to tell you, Frank. If you can, rethink the stigma you got at La Verna. We now know an infection from that is what killed you. Surely, a loving God has less fatal gifts to offer. Thank you.
Thank you. That's lovely. Our next reader is Melissa Holm Shoemake.
Hi, that's me. Here I am. I'm actually really excited to appear in this journal because I live in Atlanta, so it's kind of nice to like be in my hometown publication. But my poem is on page 48, and it's called Trauma Bonds. This poem is about my younger sister who died of a fentanyl overdose in 2020, just for a little context. Trauma bonds. We grew together, tucked our hair behind our ears, tucked our father's anger in our minds, next to our mother's fear, without ever realizing their voices braided within our own. We had the same wavy locks, the same strands to untangle. Sometimes I'm jealous my sister doesn't feel this pain anymore. The work of ripping shame at the seams, the tedium of restitching your own narrative. She chose illicit chemicals instead, and I thought a lot about the absolute slowness of her last breath and how, in that moment, her brilliant pink-dyed hair became the embers of her life. These days are too busy for me to sit around in my head, but when I rake my fingers through my hair, I'm touching her. Her ghost is my own face. And then I'll read another poem about my sister that's forthcoming in another journal. And it's called Winter Solstice, The Wild Hunt. So it feels kind of topical because it's starting to feel like winter outside. 1. On the furthest axis tilt from the sun, my sister was born in the liminal space between seasons. On this darkest night, our ancestors celebrated a war in the sky, the sifting cosmos, a frail guard against the ghostly procession of Odin's gathering of the undead for Valhalla. The 6 hooves of his horse clamber in shadows over the living. Clouds betray their unseen shapes, while indoor hives of humans warm around the rune-inscribed Yule log in celebration of the celestial battle, their drunken bellow stitching itself within the biting winds. 2. At the end of her life, she swallowed one storm and then another. She wore an unseen Iron Maiden and the weight of a demon. Each day was an invisible war, the wild hunt for a chemical craving. She ransacked her body to numb a burning, and when the preferred prey of opioids eluded her, it was crush-strawed Benadryls, benzos, cut-capped whipped cream, vodka, and pleading to a god in the sky she can't see, pleading to rest in the thin, euphoric moment just before the hunter's shot. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you. Our next reader is Sonya Schneider.
Hi, thank you so much for squeezing me in, and thank you for this wonderful publication. My poem, Hunting Bullfrogs, is on page 102. Every time I pass a shallow stream, even if it runs the side of the road, bubbling with rubbish, I think of you. The time you led me through a June darkness with a flashlight and net, on our way to hunt bullfrogs, my girlish body next to your muscled one, our shoes soggy from the squelching mud, until we heard them, a chorus of deep crooners chanting, "Jug-a-rum, jug-a-rum." The American male claiming his territory from a murky perch, we waited patiently for one to show himself. And though you knew they could hear you, you couldn't help yourself. You loved teaching me animal things, the print you hung in my bedroom of tadpole metamorphosis, the spark of legs stunned me every time I looked at it. Or the stories of your brother, the Eagle Scout who made your mother crazy by keeping a coyote pup as a pet. Mostly, I remember the mud in my shoes and the damp smell of night, the instant you shone your light into the blistery bullfrog face, his bulging green eye shine radiating fear. Frozen, the three of us sinking slowly into the earth, you whispered, "Throw the net." But I couldn't. When you turned off your torch, I could finally breathe. I guess I'm going to read this poem, which is after a Natalie Diaz poem, both of them entitled "My Brother at 3 a.m." in the form of a pentum. He lay stiffly between the sheets, now soaked in his piss, when Mom rushed into the room. "Oh God," she said, "please God." He didn't speak. His lips were blue. In his piss, when Mom rushed into the room at 3 a.m., she was still waking from a dream. He didn't speak. His lips were blue, like the day he was born. 3 a.m., and she was still waking from a dream. "Are you breathing?" she asked. "Breathe," like the day he was born. She rolled him onto his side. She asked, "Are you breathing now?" "Breathe." The overhead light glowed green. She rolled him onto his side. He choked on his spit, then moaned. The overhead light glowed green. Words that never could made music in the night. He choked on his spit, then moaned. She always had to search for signs. Words that never could made music in the night. At last, the ghost passed over them like a goat playing its fiddle. The sign had come just in time. After the seizure came the gentleness. At last, the ghost passed over them like a goat playing its fiddle. He lay stiffly between the sheets, now soaked. After the seizure came the gentleness. "Oh God," she said, "thank God." Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Our next reader is Sara McAulay.
Greetings from Oakland, California, and I'm delighted to be here and hear all these wonderful poems. My poem is on page 34 of the journal, I think. Old Agnostic's Praise Song. Why choose me, knowing I don't believe? Your long arm casting half a heart, setting free this day in pricks of light, and miracles, that I awoke again this morning, that my feet can find the floor, that I can find my feet at all. And when I find them free of tangled dream sheet and the sleeping dog, do you see how prayerfully I lower them, though I refuse to pray, toward worn black leather slippers? How carefully I pour my coffee, how I honor gravity, not a drop allowed to spill. How reverently I line up my many modern science pills and wash them down, a tart and tingling glass of thou shalt nots. If I leave my house, stroll out into the world, will I find another day of random blessings to not believe in? Accordion on the corner, squeezing out beer barrel polka, little kids cartwheeling, tamales celestiales open before noon to feed us all. I can't be bribed, you know that. Still, no drive-by shot has killed me yet. Bank robbers and bolt lightning wait until I leave to strike. Do I believe in luck, in accident? I say, why not? Still, I believe in long walks by the water, bare toes in gritty sand, a tide-washed log to sit on, the tennis ball my dog drops at my feet. Always I believe in evenings long and glittering arc, brown pelican, blue heron, snowy egret fishing, skyline, bridge, and mountains, always and never changing. Oh, blessed circling planet, oh, blessed watchful sun, oh, blessed late day shadows, pine and cypress, moon riding shotgun at my shoulder. And I will also read Snail. In the streetlight's glow, I see a trail of brightness slant across a flagstone path from one damp patch of earth to another, half hidden by spent daisies. And I imagine all I need for safety is to make myself small and round, grow armor, grow eye stalk horns, a single sticky foot on which to ripple secret to wet secret under cover of night. Beneath the sun's accusing stare, I'll tuck my soft self small inside my spiral shield, cling to the cool side of a stoneware bowl, and wait for night to come again. What do I dream of, waiting out the day? Leaves and petals, moist and sweet? A thunderstorm? Or silver crisscrossed messages, news of my borrowed kind? Curled in my spiral world, sheltered from the human gnash and squeal of what I've left behind, I hear the hours tick past. When shadows spread and thicken, when there's no sound but dogs in the distance, flap and flutter of a plastic bag tossed by the gritty wind, when passing headlights probe the night, crown lights winking red and blue and pass on by. This is as safe as it gets. You can cross now. You can try.
Wonderful. Thank you. Our next reader is Sara Burge.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, fantastic. I want to thank you, JC, for this opportunity, and I'm going to jump right in. My poem is on page 70, and the title is from a Sharon Olds poem from her poem Armor. The poem is titled, I Sit and Think About Men. This makes them very happy. This makes my life very small, but they like to remind me my purpose is to make them very happy. Sometimes when I speak, I must remind them that I know not all men. Sometimes I cannot speak because I'm exhausted from having to remind them I know not all men, only because I literally do not know all men. I make myself breakfast, and because I make it for myself, my eggs are just the way I like them. My eggs have sloshed inside my ovaries all my life, and that's just the way I like them. They actually are required to be just the way the government likes them. My government doesn't know how a female human's reproductive organs work. My government is mostly men, which means I spend a lot of time thinking about men and how they have no idea how a human female reproductive organs work. Most men don't know women are born with all our eggs. Some men think women lay eggs. Some men think women pee out of our vaginas. I sit and think about that. I doubt they sit and think about women unless it's ways to make sure women keep having babies out of our pee holes and stop thinking about it and stop talking back and keep us on our backs and make homes nice for men. When I think too much about it, I make a home for hate. I don't want to, but it's difficult. I wonder about the politician who said rape was like the weather. I wonder about the politician who said if rape, like the weather, was inevitable, just lie back and enjoy it. Then I think of how my mother tried to teach me to shoot a gun. I think of an old boyfriend who took me to the firing range with his MAC-10 and really got off on the idea of teaching me to shoot his big gun. I wonder if he ever feared a girlfriend who really got off on firing a big gun. I wonder how many dead women's bodies is acceptable to men who don't know how living women's bodies work. I think about the politician who said women's bodies were magical and knew when they were being raped. I think about the politician who thought women's bodies were so magical that they could shut that whole thing down. I think about unicorns and Lisa Frank. I wonder why men think women don't know what to do with women's bodies if women's bodies are so goddamn magical. I think about all those dead women with magical unicorn bodies. I wonder how many dead women. I wonder how many bodies. And for my second poem, I will be reading Your Mom. Because everyone's mom's a dump truck, town mattress back, dumber than a sack of conspiracy theorists, it's okay. Your mom exists so we can establish dominance. And when she becomes a stick figure version of what we've been taught is the worst sort of woman, how good do any of us need to be? We are free, with all our moms keeping their back doors open ever since they waitressed the Last Supper. But sometimes between the jokes, she takes a break, sheds the bathrobe of pious womanhood and disappears where you can't find her, even though you need her to wash the dishes. Your mom exists now only as a concept, and maybe she becomes a series of paintings. She's water lilies or parading naked through the garden of earthly delights. Your mom moves out on the town now. She sits beneath a neon hot dog, eats Frito pie, and gives zero fucks what the scale or your friends will say. She puts on a wig, spies on the cops. She goes to the park and feeds the mallards from her own body because even when she's alone, your mom is never allowed to forget she exists for consumption. Your mom chases the mean dogs off your street, tears off her clothes, gets on all fours and screams until every car alarm is terrified and all your neighbors' windows break. Not even the air is safe. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. Is Chris Watson here? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see me, but I'm here.
Okay. Did you want to read?
Sure. Thanks for including me. I can't see myself, so I'll just start. I can still see JC, but my poem Año Nuevo, New Year, is on page 110 of your review, and it has an epitaph. This is odd because I can't see myself on the screen. So, ruidos, voces, rumores, canciones lejanas, noises, voices, rumors, distant songs. Juan Rufo. Asleep, A plosive ocean laps anxious dreams. Wake to brief rain and the memory of smoke and flames. Cane dross and rubbish lit through ancient basins. El llano en llamas, the plain in flames. In the mountains near Comala, we ate tortillas de frijol, black fly gorging on our ankles, mot-mot and squirrel cuckoo dip-darting a riot of shadows under the Volcan de Colima. And later, spectral by a tin-flashed lean-to, an elderly mestiza, the dash of her weep hill through a torn rebozo, like the cheek of a chickadee, worked a palm broom over cobbles. Here, Boca de Iguanas, it's a new year. Sun-bronzed families spill kelp-like from a campground sprawl to carpet the shore, bob or embrace soft waves. Above us, the scissored and canting tails of frigate birds against the bleached sky's blue. Klepto-parasites, their red throat skins, angry wounds or escaped balloons. Globos de Nochevieja are lodged in the crooked bruise of their black wingspans as they patrol float this silk crescent of sand, palms, and Pacific's glare. At nightfall, like driftwood with human voice, retired gabachos in tie-dyed t-shirts mill about a local fair, snatches of their nasal accents cutting through an evening mass, the meat-smoked air. Feliz Año Nuevo, hay baño, hamburguesas, laxantes, cerveza. Mournful strains of rancheras from a dirt parking lot mingle with diesel plumes from revved flatbed trucks, and at the far end of the plaza, dust-cloaked fairy lights blink drought-stressed trees where a whitewashed, rust-dappled cage enshrouds an empty swing. Cada chango in su columpio, to each monkey its own swing. And when in bed, under a motel fan's syncopated whirl, I'm surprised at how a slither curl of hope rises, defies, persists. Wonder, while wrenching up for a piss, what part of all of this I'll stand to miss, until I see the beauty of the moon within night's mist, its soft glint on my sleeping sons, the ocean's shadowed and ample orb. The next poem's called Paralleled, and I think it's online somewhere, but Paralleled. From the paralleled creek, the chill of late summer mountain storms ripples through the car's window, while vermicular shadows, cottonwoods, and elms stream over everything. Piecemeal, the ebony gleam of a cast iron pan comes to me, an incident from childhood, one of those charged, ferocious spats between my father and a lover friend, so that the lithe and clamped-lipped child is conjured again, ducked spectator, inconsequential and hardly noticed, or so I've always assumed. Fucking bastard. What my father yelled from the living room after hurling a skillet from a window at a lover's well-groomed pate. 7, 9, 8, the ragged line of that scudding pan through fallen blossoms brings a lost summer's light, certain lilac's shade, my own emptiness back to me, how it just remained unclaimed for the rest of that day, or its absence the following morning, the familiar feeling this drew, like a walnut cask's withdrawal, clumsy sleight of hand, hushed and furtive shutting of a blind. Trees, mountains, foothills, and the small river are left behind as the car picks up speed, that familiar rift, desert bright valley, pinon and juniper parked, unfurling without end before me. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. Our next reader is Diane Wilbon Parks.
Thank you, JC and the Atlanta Review. My poem is on page 97 and 98 of this issue. The title of my poem that I'll read from the review is Grateful. God knows I'm grateful for each tiny prayer circling my throat, pushing its way out, shepherding the wild horses that gallop and graze inside my dreams. For every deep breath that I take, a candle of hope is lit inside me. So I keep going, even when the birds are silent in November. Like squirrels, I bury their songs for the winter, and now I rise like the birds of June, singing. I am grateful for the rise of the sun, the aging of these bones that gathers enough grace to get up, to get going, to get on with seed time and harvest. These God hours, I plant, I plow, I pray, I pen, I paint, I pour, I pluck, I pause, I praise the seconds, the minutes, the hours, the days, the weeks, the years, to just be able to smell the morning, to taste the chilled air, to touch autumn's footprint, to see Moses' staff in a tree as a red sea of leaves part from their branches and walk down the tree, as obedient as the wind ushers them out, they come. I walk through the red sea of leaves to the other side. I think of how leaves folly a life beyond their branches. My heart is pulled at its stem. God knows I am grateful to witness this kind of beauty, rare, deep in the tissue where a million hearts beat, spinning the earth in me. The sound of my granddaughter's voice repairs the broken wings, the torn pages, the orphaned shadows that follow. I no longer feel the fractures. Her laughter reaches in and paints the inside of me in shades of golden golds, fluorescent oranges, bruised reds. I am grateful. When she holds my hand, I see a blue sky over the field of my dreams with an endless silver lining. I have allowed her to disturb the silence, the whispering, the bed of leaves that quiets the landscape here. She is my candle of hope. For every deep breath I take, she returns with the sun, with love and peace and joy and hope and gratitude. God knows I am grateful. The second poem that I'm going to read is entitled, I Am the Only One Who Carries the Umbrellas. This was at a time in my life where I felt like I was doing so many things. So this poem is dedicated to me and all the things that I do. Again, I am the only one who carries the umbrellas. Today, I surrender. Tomorrow will be a truce. I wait for day's end when blue skies switch to black. I surrender the purple swirls, the opulence a country swears it brings. I come with nothing. I take nothing. Today I am from nowhere. I own only one thought, to burlesque a bird, to take the feed of robins to fill a future, to use their beady eyes to watch, to unclaw a prey, perch a bench, flap a wind, unswallow worries, keep the sky, take deep breaths, and when the air consents, follow a wing until it fades to blue. Tomorrow, my head will have had time to unravel long enough to release a bird song, to empty the unbalanced and the lakes that puddle here. My buckets are full. My swallow is full. I am the only one who carries the umbrellas, who holds the country at her breast. The cities will sleep sound tonight. I will wave the white flag, even before truce, before the bird calls, before my cup overflows again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next reader is Dorothy Neagle.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dorothy Neagle. My poem is called The Arborist Repents. It starts on page 91. The arborist repents. Each summer for 10 years, he planted 1,000 trees. Blessed is our Father who carries the sackcloth damp with saplings. Blessed are the branches soaked black. He made with them a rosary, each sapling for a bead. This tree is sorrow, this tree regret. This tree is anger for what I cannot take back. Bought from the Forest Service for pennies, he said. They were practically given to me. Glory be a house surrounded by trees. Glory be, but don't break me, please. Pulling bare roots from buckets in the back of his pickup, he made holes in neat rows, packing the dirt with booted toes. I believe they started out cold. I believe the ground warmed them like palms filled with stones. He told us the woods would be ours someday. Only later he explained he was trying to make up for leaving us. Our Father between heaven and hell could never be one or the other. Our Father was both and just as well. Under the branches fly 10,000 prayers of solitary penitence, joining devotions, forestry, my brother and me. I believe it is written in loblolly pine and black walnut, Our Father, joyful, sorrowful, glorious, blessed are the shelters he made us. Glory be a thorned body, devoted, divorced, mysterious. The second poem I'm going to read is a recent publication in the Pinch Journal. It's called The First Thing I Give Up. There is the white belly of a hawk bending over the Ford dealership on Central Avenue, and there is the voice of my fear which says, I'll kill you for exposing me. The first thing I give up is being liked. It sheds. Someone walking in the woods will spot the thin, hollow curve of my white smile against the ground and twirl it between fingers, wondering, is she colder now? Less bright? The first thing I give up is going home. I have to do it running, have to pretend I will go back, and so I leave some things behind. The bed where I slept, the bones of my cat, daffodil bulbs. Before I give up running, I have to give up the lie that I can hide. I wonder if I will ever give up wishing
I could exchange long life for camouflage. Turn myself into something that has no fear of dying, fit feathers back into my skin, and fly. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next reader is Linda Drattle.
Hello, thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity to read my poems. I'm reading Coco, which is on page 78. I raised goats and I had 4 goats, and so Coco was one of them. He's sick, my daughter's boyfriend said when he met Coco for the first time. How do you know? I asked, doubting he could be in the know about a goat he had just met. The first goat he has ever met. I can hear him wheezing. I rely on my eyes, my ears kaput. Forgot what wheezing sounds like. A sudden memory of my brother's asthma, his gasping for air, a rush to the hospital. My husband's asthma turning blue, another hospital. I can't see if Coco is turning blue. His fur the color of coffee, lightened with hazelnut creamer. A white arc stretched across his side, and the proud angle of his horns, squared like a pint-sized Texas Longhorn, hide any such evidence. I slide a collar around his throat, take him for goat dog walks, feel the vibration of his labored breath, feel it through the collar, feel it through the leash, like a message through a string telephone. Feel it through the tremor of my hand in sync with the leash's strum. I believe this communication between us is private. The vet has been by a few times. Meds help very little, very little. Coco was one of 3 babies born to a nanny who didn't want 3. Might only have wanted 1. In any case, 1 too many. Kicked him, bit his ear, threw him across the pen. He would slip between his 2 brothers, hide his scent among theirs, and somehow survived. One brother became his surrogate mother, the one he went to for solace and protection, the one with whom over the years, after joining a neighbor's small herd, he foraged side by side, slept rump to rump. One wet winter, when he was still small, he jumped into the water trough, didn't know how to get back out. I grabbed him as his mother stared, cupped his shivering self between my 2 hands, held him until his body warmed, whispered to him, "You're okay, you're fine, you have worth." When he was a year old, his mother only had to glare. He would retreat to a corner of the pen, his head lowered, his spirit crushed. I watched as his guardian brother, Nutmeg, approached him, sniffed him. "You're okay, you're fine, you have worth." Nutmeg, the alpha male of this makeshift herd, passed a few months ago. The herd attacks Coco regularly now. No need to hold back. He dodges horns, teeth on his bony back. I take him out of the pen, go for walks, give him cookies and carrots, let him forage on weeds with yellow flowers. Together, we've watched the old field where the herd used to graze develop into a stately home, a long driveway covering the wild grasses where crickets once feasted, where rains had brought floods and the occasional mountain lion prowled. Today, he seems to know I'm sad, recognizes my struggle to fit in with my own herd. He leans a thin shoulder against my thigh. I feel the crushing sound of his unstable breath. Watch him gasp for air, stroke his coarsening fur, notice the dryness of his skin. He looks up at me, kindness in his gaze, sniffs me with a runny nose, as if to convey, "You're okay, you're fine, you have worth." And then I'd like to read another poem. This is from my latest poetry and the chapbook, The Lighter Side of Horse Manure. And this is about my horse getting his feet shod. I wrote it in the form of a ghazal. It's called Hooves. Confined in his stall, he waits with pen hooves. The farrier's late to fix him men hooves. He hates being hemmed in, prefers to romp, to stomp with his feet and mates, prance and wend hooves. He craves the freedom to gamble and play, to run with the herd, together blend hooves. The farrier files and snips his hook walls, applies her deft skills to trim and tend hooves. After Faye's treated his feet, he's released. Freed, my horse runs once again to rent hooves. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. Next reader is Beth Paulson. Beth Paulson?
Oh, I guess you can't read lips. Okay. Yes. This is my first appearance in Atlanta Review, and unfortunately, I don't have my book with me. It hasn't gotten to my mailbox yet. But the name of my poem that I will read is In the Sequoias. If you venture deep, you hear only whispers of lace-needled branches of the giant trees. Nothing fills your eyes but this green canopy you stare up into, dazzled. You cannot even see their crowns. They are so tall, fog lives in them. You sit on a thick furred log, but never say the words, you could belong here. You with shallow roots who covet this Eden where time's bedded in bark and burl, marked by merlet and owlet, by moss, by mushrooms after rain. Sunlight sinks low, shadows lengthen. You linger at the edge of one, blackened, hollowed out by fire. Measure its breadth and strength. See new shoots sprung from that taken for dead. Feel with your hands the smoothness of healed scars. All the way back, a fern-lined path. You keep turning around. You never imagined you would be the one found. Thank you. This next one is called First Snow. It's forthcoming, but I'm going to read it anyway. It's a sonnet. It came down soft as breath or as a whisper, falling like feather down from old pillows. No surprise a morning in November. Snow fell on the backs of white-faced cows and on the tops of rolls of last-cut hay. The skeletons of brush beside the fields, without a sound, it fell throughout the day, onto the bones of all the barren trees, the quieter river and its muddy banks. It fell on broken bottles, leaning fence, gathered leaves, the dying winter grass, on unkept vows, words unsaid, regrets. Maybe it was myself, the first snow blessed, and covered for a time all I transgressed. Thank you.
That was lovely. Thank you. Our next reader is Helga Kidder.
Yes, I'm here. My poem is on page 27. Let's see, do I need to take that away? There we go. If this is the last day, my cardinal calls for a full feeder perched on top of the arbor. He knows the special seeds I pour and hang in the first rays of sun that glide along new-leaved branches. Honeysuckle goldens my breath, a yellow warbler's buzzy song, a rattler curling under you. The quarter moon fades in the blues of the morning as shadows pool on the knoll. Blackberry brambles leap over the railing, impatient to bloom right after dogwood winter, as if notching the last days. I pull Virginia creeper, clawing iris, those saber-shaped leaves next to the tridents of poison ivy. Trucks rush the highway's promises. The neighbor's mutt pads past the driveway on her daily routine. Today's conductor announces the arrival of a soul train. Its separate compartments. I will wait at the rusted rails, shuffle feet, listen for the horns blow. And my next poem is, thank you, is a newer one. It hasn't been anywhere except on my desk. Thoughts in Blue Wind. While frost burns the tips of grass and flowers hang limp in pots, squirrels scatter remnants of nutshells after feasting on the meat, then throwing them onto the driveway so they crunch my walk to the mailbox. I unlimber bills, advertisements, and letters asking for help for the hungry, the homeless, and the wounded warriors. Want to contribute it to all. My mind is blessed as I unspool compassion. Climb the giving tree as Arctic air spars with the sun. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next reader is Tammy Trushheim-Rahmiller. And apologies if I said your name wrong.
That's all right. Hello from Iowa. My poem is on
Are you frozen or am I frozen?
I think Tammy is frozen.
All right. We will come back to Tammy. Let me just send her a quick note. Is Tara Das here? Okay. We'll hear from Matt Hohner now.
So there we go. You'll find my poem on page 87 in your hymnals. Eclipse is another word for stroke. for Patty. It begins with slurred speech, drooling, birds quieting their chatter, words not coming to your mouth, though heard in your mind. A cool wind from nowhere, streetlights flickering on, your brain on dimmer switch. Somewhere in the folds of your thoughts, plaque has dislodged from a clogged artery, lodged downstream, blocked nourishing blood from the best part of you. Caught in time, your doctors manage to wrestle your star from behind a bad moon, and your light returns to full strength. Some say the moon was once part of Earth, broken away from a molten globule in a young, lifeless galaxy before blue and green air, before time and culture, before thought and love. How we too cleave and crumble, our terrestrial bodies betraying us as we age and drift into shade. For some, totality arrives as a strange twilight, a black that stays, dreams falling silent as death, breathes its frigid name across a stunned landscape. For now, your luminance has reclaimed its celestial place to warm us, your star undiminished by its brief absence, and we happy satellites orbiting you rejoice in your glow, such fiery heat, thankful the hum and song of you did not hush forever while you were away. And the next, my second poem comes from this book. It's my new book, and I will post a link if you're interested in purchasing it. You can't get it from the publisher. There's a long story behind that, which is still unfolding. This was written after a visit to Sweetbriar College in Amherst, Virginia on Juneteenth, 2022. Sweetbriar Plantation Burial Ground. The sign reads, innocuous, carved in serifed font, lichened and undersized in a small mown dell at the edge of awareness, no arrow pointing the direction into a darkness history knows it's there, where a patch of red clay, the color of hemorrhage, has rubbed bare on a slope facing the grove of hardwoods and pines. Skinned knee, blistered hands, flesh opened in daily conversation with the overseer's angry and selective God. Walk the path into the forest, into quiet stasis, into a past of shadows. Come to a clearing thinned of trees, rough and unkempt. An iron gate, rusted and latched, stands fenceless, holding no one in, keeping none out. The only way those here could escape was into the ground. A rock with a bronze plaque names them founders, next to a sign showing a map of numbers and ovals marking where they lay. One could do the work, search the county archives for ledgers of property bought and sold, learn their names, make them more than chunks of quartz and granite. But the rock reminds us that its makers bend the past to suit the present, scrub the truth to rhyme with words like convenience, expedience, closure, erasure. In a lexicon sourced from the river Lethe, mass grave becomes monument. Slaves become founders. Call them more than 60 stones. Call them more than a dozen unmarked burials indicated by depressions in the earth. Call them families versus family groupings. Call them mother, father, daughter, son. Call them. Nearby, a cardinal sings, "Here, here, here, here," as a late day breeze choruses the green canopy. Slant sun reaches its hands through oak and black locust into the soil, holding rib cages and names to lift them up and anoint them in a future light for which they prayed and died, waiting.
Thank you. Let's try Tammy again. Is she here?
Yes, just had some internet problems. My poem is on page 55. It's called Coyote's Howl. A coyote lopes across the snow-covered cornfield, his sideways glance searching for a pheasant or rabbit. He stops, sniffs, and talks to the rising full moon. Is his howl haunting, or is it the sound of sheer exuberance, the thrill of freedom to explore night's offerings? My second poem is called Desert Meditations. Moonlight spills into the desert, illuminating an ancient saguaro's single white flower. An elf owl peers out of her nest hole, blinking at bats swooping in to feast on sweet nectar. The harsh wilderness tonight seems delicate, calm, untouchable. What stories does this land hold? I am here to listen. I look up. The Milky Way melts into my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Our last reader is Carol O'Brien. She was the Poetry International winner for this year, and she's going to read a couple more poems than just two. All right, Carol.
Thank you so much. So the poem in the issue is on page 65, and it's called The Woman in the Attic. I am a mad, majestic bloom, birthed beneath a fiery tropical sun, a lone doctor bird with radiant feathered wings clipped along the ends, just the shame left to fade in the echoes of broken chiming bells. Married more to the stone of the walls, an able man trapped me behind. I bear the years through the heavy clunk of lonely measured silences. My tongue shackled so long, I can no longer even speak to speak, only laugh just to know my own voice. We've all forgotten when I was alive in Jamaica, when I was vibrant, beautiful, myself. The heat of my life now shuddered, aging, and turned cold within this quiet cage. I laugh how my husband thinks me the burden, as if a mad woman has any say over who and what she becomes. So while this dwindling flame flickers behind an angry, tattered veil, my empty hands curl out in the dark to wait for any kindness in their clutch, until after nights and nights of seeking, I feel so vanished, I avenge, set fire, and disappear. My second poem is called Summer Day at the Water Park. I feel heavier than before, sinking into the open mouth of a serpentine water slide, after two boys point at me and spit the word fat. The shame from their venom swells like a mass in my throat, exposed so I swallow it whole, down into the protruding tummy I didn't know was there before. Are the slides judging me too? From the perch of their long legs, the twist of their towering bends, and hollow plastic exoskeletons, in bright blues and greens and yellows. Each climb from the water exposes me, so I scurry my water-shoed feet a little faster through the open air, through the sea of wet bodies and squeaky inner tubes, hurrying for short-lived shelter inside the slides and the chlorine-scented pool I plunge into at the end. That morning, I was a photogenic 8-year-old, proportionate with strong femurs, sturdy enough to stabilize a catcher's mitt. But now I wait out the afternoon, wanting to shed my skin, taking up space in my blue one-piece patterned with yellow fish, certain I won't ever wear it again. And the next poem I'm going to read is an ekphrastic after a sculpture by Auguste Rodin. It's basically 2 hands that are very slightly touching, but there's an object in the middle that's keeping them apart. Held, After the Secret by Auguste Rodin. Can you hear the soft whisper of these entangled hands, grazing at the fingertips, the pulse of their meeting beating at the bronzy base of bonded wrists? They speak without lips, move without moving, hold still the sculpted secret, keeping them apart, yet keeping them bound, brushing timelessly together. Can you feel the breath of their hushed speaking as it flows intimately into the shape of your molded lungs, until it escapes unsculpted as a weightless knowing sigh? The familiar feeling drifting its gentle way through the mysterious empty space shared between these 2 models, these beautiful keepers carved from a single lump. Thank you. Okay. Is it okay to read 2 more? Okay. So this next one is called After the Storm. A good man is hard to find. The bad ones unwind themselves in stages, like secrets teetering on the edge of a thunderclap. Quiet now quiet, quiet you now, boom. Those bad ones unwind themselves in stages, to scatter what we know into pieces. Boom, now stay quiet, quiet now quiet. We can't know the whole storm, one raindrop at a time. Because they scatter what we know into pieces, we hunter-gather the best parts no matter the weather. We can't know the whole storm, one raindrop at a time. Speak now speak, speak you now, hush. We hunter-gather the best parts, no matter the weather, until their secrets fall from the edge of a thunderclap. Hush, now you spoke now spoke. Why is a good man so hard to find? And my last poem is called As a Kite. There was an old kite my father got stuck high up in a tree in the woods across the street from my childhood home. Its tattered fragments, the color of blood, sweat, and tears, left visible every autumn by the disappearing leaves. Over the years, I came to count on the faded cloth, with hardly any of its color left, to wave its silent, worn-out hello from way up in those bare limbs. There were the hanging shreds of my father's burdens, strung from a worn-out face, visible on his daily trudge home from the school where he broke his spirit and body both, reforming troubled teens, leaving himself in just enough fragments to still hit the bottle, swallow his pills, or fly under the influence of bad decisions at the end of a string he couldn't cut loose. There was me, left looking for the frayed edges of my father, and every autumn searching for the lingering shreds of that old kite. All I could do was wait for the leaves to fall, watch, wave my hellos, hope for a gesture in return that told me they both knew I was still here trying to be whole, and that even if something was getting harder and harder to see, didn't mean it wasn't still there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Did all the contributors read who wanted to read? I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for coming here tonight. I really appreciate it. It's good to see faces to go with poems, and we will see you again next spring. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
JC.
Thank
Yes,
you.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.